Hello guys, thank you so much for clicking on today's video and welcome to my channel. This story seems like something out of a Netflix documentary, I tell you. It is legitimately insane. This story is about an unwitting woman who decided to take a simple 23andMe DNA test. Nothing wrong with that, right? Until it managed to uncover a lot of secrets. It's not that bad though, it does have a happy ending. Anyhow, I do hope that you enjoy it. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. And on to the story. My Today I Effed Up actually started about 3 days ago, but the background first. My dad was 56 and my mom was 46 when me and my twin sister were born. My dad died in 2007 when my twin sister and I were 12. He had been a heavy drinker and smoker since he was 10, passing at 69 following decades of very poor health, so it was mostly a relief when he passed away. My mom and dad were married since 1973 and tried for many years to have children until they had my sister and I in 1994. My mom only has us, but my dad has a son from a prior marriage who's about 30 years older than us, who I've met several times, but we aren't close due to the age difference. He also had 2 daughters from another prior marriage that I'd never met. I only know they live in California and their first names. They also did not speak to my dad and didn't attend his funeral. As I've gotten older and had kids of my own, I became more curious about my dad's family. I asked my mom to no avail. She said that she had no idea about why the girls didn't speak to my dad. She said she also didn't know how to contact them. I ordered a 23andMe kit to hopefully find my half-sisters and get some answers. Also, the idea of possibly being 1% African American or Asian would have been cool. I'm white as can be. So I ordered the kit and 3 weeks later get my results. Unfortunately, I'm not any shocking ethnicity. About 61.2% British actually, along with 20.7% French and German and other European makeup. What is surprising though is that I found 4 half-sisters, 2 more than I thought. My dad was not a picture of moralism, so it doesn't surprise me that he had some unclaimed kids running around. So excitedly, I clicked to see their names. Oddly, none of the names match my half-sisters I'm looking for. This means that I have 6 half-sisters. Wow, Dad definitely sowed his oats, but this is still exciting. My twin sister and I immediately messaged them on the site. The first to reply, we'll call Mary. She says that she was born via IVF in 1992 in North Carolina. Mary also said that the donor was a med student. Well, my mom is adamant that my dad didn't donate to sperm banks and that he didn't live in the state she's from. So I'm thinking poor Mary doesn't know her mom is lying to her about an affair she had with my dad. I felt terrible for my mom as well, as this would definitely mean that he cheated on my mom. Like I said, my dad was scummy. I just told Mary that our father was actually in construction his whole life, so he or the agency was lying about the med school. He dropped out in 7th grade. I sent her some of the pictures of my dad and my twin and I from childhood. We laugh about how much we look alike and say that we could be triplets. Later that evening, I get another message from another half-sister who we'll call Tiffany. Tiffany says that she was also conceived via IVF in 1993 in Pennsylvania. All she knows is her dad has blonde hair and green eyes and was a med student. I'm honestly so happy to see another IVF because this confirms that my dad did use sperm banks and just didn't tell my mom. Which was shitty, but better than an affair. I sent Tiffany pictures of my dad and tell her about him and that's it. Then comes last night. I'm shopping at IKEA with my friend, relaying this soap opera story to them. I'm telling them my theory about these sperm banks lying to their customers to get better prices. Telling people they're getting a blonde-haired, green-eyed med student, when in reality they're getting a brown-haired, brown-eyed sheet truck worker. It's at that moment my friend Miranda said, "You and your twin have blonde hair and green eyes. What if your dad isn't your dad and your mom also used IVF?" At first, I laughingly entertained the idea that it would make sense for my mom to need IVF because that makes way more sense than suddenly becoming pregnant at 46 and 56. I quickly then realized, holy shit, this actually does make sense. Then comes the obvious thought to probably everyone but me. How could a 55-year-old alcoholic chain smoker pass for a med student? It would have been 25 years since he could believably look under 35. Unless they somehow had his sperm in storage for 30 years before using it, and the sperm bank in different states used the same lie about med school, it didn't seem likely. I also have type 1 diabetes and have no family history at all. Every doctor I've had tells me how lucky I am because it's usually in the family tree and my chances of getting it were very low. I'm currently looking at my half-brother's picture and he looks just like my dad, but nothing like my sister and I. Not even close. My mom has had a migraine throwing up the past 2 days since discussing this, but I assumed that it was a coincidence. Now I'm thinking it's nerves. I'm going to talk to my mom today, and if I get the answer I think I will, I'm going to message my new half-sister apologizing for showing them their dad because he's actually none of our dads. Pretty sweet my dad might be a doctor and not a raging alcoholic though, so that's cool. OP then went on to update. My mom admitted it. We are IVF babies. I texted my half-sister this morning to let them know. This will be a great party story. OP then also added, also, I'm a girl. So, when all of this went down, my sister and I asked my mom to take a DNA test as well. She agreed. As it turns out, my mom is not my biological mom. As I said before, it makes no difference to me because my mom is my mom no matter what. Here's the kicker though. My mom was wholeheartedly under the impression that her eggs were used in her IVF treatment. She's contacting her doctor who's still in practice to figure out what on earth this means. I'm actually sort of sad for my mom. I didn't consider this as an option in the realm of possibilities. We are her daughters, of course, but I can't imagine finding out at her age with adult kids that your biological line actually ends with you. So yeah, that's all I have for now. OP then added, I talked to my mom this morning and she's okay. Thank goodness. She says that we're still her babies. I discussed the idea of hiring a lawyer with her. She said that she still has her IVF paperwork somewhere, so she's looking for it. Her paper hoarding may come in handy this once. I'm just happy that she's alright. So, it's been 2.5 years since this shocking, although very much makes sense discovery. We have now found a total of 4 half-sisters and 2 half-brothers, all on our dad's side. Still no progress on finding out who it is, as the closest relative other than the IVF siblings is a 3rd or 4th cousin. It's fine. I mean, who really cares about knowing things like your medical history and literal parent? Anyhow, we have less of a connection with our biological mom, who was also an egg donor. I mean, zero, zilch, nada. We were admittedly expectant every time a new relative would pop up, but the vast majority were from dad. As time passed, we pretty much gave up looking. However, after watching our father on Netflix last night, no, that's not our dad. I decided to once again check good old 23andMe, and Viola, our first cousin, from our mom's side. I attempted to send a message on the app, but ain't nobody got time for that. I decided to utilize my investigation skills, aka social media, to see what clues I could uncover. Thankfully, said first cousin put his mom's maiden name. One Facebook search and I found his mom, which led me to her sister's profile. The second I saw the picture of all of them, I internally, okay, and let's admit it, externally as well, said bingo. No way we weren't related. And if they tried to tell me otherwise, I was going to offer to personally send a DNA test to prove it. No DNA test needed though, as I received a response in less than 24 hours that confirmed my suspicion and filled my heart with joy. She wanted to find us too. Not only that, we also have 6 more half-siblings and a sports team's worth of niece and nephews. We all live close together and are planning on getting together. I know not all of these stories have a happy ending, so it's fun to share when they do. So guys, what did you think about this? Honestly, when I was reading it, especially the original post, my heart was beating so fast because I'm thinking, oh my god, the IVF doctor is her father. Like, it has to be. That being said, I don't think we do ever figure out who the father is. I do want to point out one specific thing about these medical practices. One, I think that it's extraordinarily important that if you're an IVF baby, especially if you know for a fact that your biological parents did not use their own DNA to birth you in the IVF, that maybe you should get a DNA test, especially if you're dating, just so that you don't accidentally date another IVF baby who could also be your potential half-sibling. It sounds like something out of a horror movie or a comedy show depending on where you are on the humor spectrum. But yeah, that was a journey. That's all I have to say. Anyhow, I do hope that you enjoyed this story. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And please subscribe if you'd like to hear more stories from Reddit with updates.